Welcome to another video, Purple Political Talk here. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Georgia Senate runoff elections, which were held on Tuesday, January 5th, and they decided the control of the United States Senate. I would have done a video on this yesterday, however, due to the turn of events in the United States Capitol, I decided to closely monitor that situation yesterday so I can give you guys a lot better content and better analysis when it regards to the effects of that situation in the Capitol, which I will be making a video completely about that. But if anything, Georgia was the last blow for the Republican Party, and at this point, the Democrats are the projected winners in the state of Georgia, pretty much completely wrecking the Republicans' hope to have some control in the United States Congress for this next 2 years. So let's get started with the analysis. So pretty much, Ossoff really underperformed Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock's ability to appeal to the suburban Georgians is something that really worked in his favor. David Perdue was a lot more popular than Kelly Loeffler, and of course, Raphael Warnock was the most popular, Kelly Loeffler the most unpopular. That's why you see so much big of a difference. And today, this comes to show how Donald Trump has wrecked the Republican Party. Let's just check the results right now. And we have a lot of data here based on the New York Times election results. So the race, for example, let's talk about the regular Senate election. David Perdue lost narrowly. It wasn't as big of a loss as Kelly Loeffler's race. The race was around a percentage point, 0.84% if I'm correct, 8.3. 0. We still have a little tiny smish of vote left, but really not enough to change anything. So we saw here that in the Atlanta suburbs, counties that Perdue had won by double digits in 2014, this time around he lost by 15%. This kind of shows the exodus of a lot of voters that are deciding to move away from a Trump Republican party. These were Romney Republicans in Savannah, in places like DeKalb County, and Gwinnett County. These are all counties that David Perdue performed extremely well back in 2014, and he lost. And if you see size of lead, of course, the bigger the lead is probably more of the areas that are a lot stronger for each party. But I think the most interesting thing on here is the shift from November. Generally speaking, in all of these maps, the Democratic Party performed significantly better during these runoff elections, which has not been on the scene because they overperformed the 2020 numbers, their November numbers. And where it matters, in these suburb counties, Democrats went up 5%, 4%. And statewide, there's a general trend that the Democrats improved heavily. There are some counties, very few of them rather, but they're still there where there was a small shift towards the Republicans. But generally speaking, where the votes are in those suburbs, where the votes are in those cities, the Democrats were able to gain more votes. And truly, that strategy ended up working for them because at the end of the day, they ended up beating the Republicans. And for the Republican Party, it was a very big mistake on their part, trying to rely on Donald Trump's base to win this election. If this wasn't the Democratic Party of 2020, I would have said that strategy would have worked. Even though the president lost Georgia, the Democrats probably would have stayed back. But this is such a consequential election because now the Democrats have control of the Senate. But and I think that strategy of relying on the president really is what hurt them. And starting today, since the events that occurred yesterday in the United States Capitol and all of that, those occurrences, I really must say that the president, Donald Trump, he's going to have a part of the Republican Party. Those are his base that he does have, and he has that for a long time. But other than that, we are going to see a mass exodus from the Republican Party. We're going to see a lot of voters leaving, and becoming independents, maybe even lawmakers. And, over the last couple of days, Donald Trump has become more and more of a little bit less sane And yesterday was a breaking point for a lot of people. And if anything was an example, is the objections to the electoral votes were really not a good strategy. Maybe to get a lot of votes up here, and even that didn't help them increase their rural turnout. So in this race, it's more interesting because in the Leffler race, we see how we see a little bit generally a little bit more um, the Republicans in more rural counties improve. Leffler did a lot better in the rural counties than Perdue because Ossoff was able to overperform, while Warnock did very well in Atlanta and its suburbs, appealing to the African American community. That's why we're seeing those races. And something that I think should be noted here in the same state of Georgia, in the Public Services Commission, which is another runoff race, completely unrelated, and it really wasn't that a campaign that at national level didn't get any attention because again this is completely unimportant. The Republican candidate defeated the Democrat by 2%. He overperformed Perdue. He overperformed Leffler. So again, what is it here? So I think here it just really comes down to not these candidates being unpopular, because I would say it was just coming down to Donald Trump isolating those suburban voters. Perdue won his race in November if it wasn't if it didn't go to a runoff. Leffler would have won by a couple points after you added all the Republicans and all the Democrats together. So what happened? I think it's very easy to tell that Donald Trump completely ruined the GOP chances in the Senate. Mitch McConnell must be furious right now. And the Democrats, although before in the past when we've had a 50-50 Senate, they split the power. They've essentially just had maybe the Democrats chair some committees, the Republicans do others, and they share their responsibilities. But the Democrats have vowed to take complete control of the Senate. So something else is going to be very easy. And with this comes a very interesting dynamic. Truly, the President of the United States, who is going to have the power? It's not going to be Joe Biden. It's actually going to be another Joe Manchin from the state of West Virginia, Lisa Murkowski of the state of Alaska. These are going to be members of Congress that are going to be extremely crucial. Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona. These are moderate members of Congress that really don't care about working bipartisancy and even flipping their parties. West Virginia, Joe Manchin from West Virginia, who comes from a very Republican state, is still going to have to deal with conservative ideas because a lot of his state, he's very vulnerable at this time. So I think their majority in the Senate, it's good for the Democrats, but they're still going to have a lot of trouble. And really, everyone has leverage in this Congress because literally a vote is the difference between passing or denying the Biden administration something. And this also brings into question, what is the political future of Jon Ossoff? And what is the political future of Raphael Warnock now that they have the platform of the United States Senate to get their name out? And I'm going to say this right now. I believe some point, maybe not in the near future, but in the future, Jon Ossoff will be running for president. And I think he has a chance to win because he has major appeal. As for Warnock, I think he's going to stay in the Senate for a longer time. I don't think he has presidential qualities in a way. I think he wouldn't win a national race. As per David Perdue and Kelly Leffler would probably just go back to her life. And I mean, if you saw yesterday, Kelly Leffler, if any of you did watch the objection to the electoral results and really all the speeches that were given after, Kelly Leffler's speech was something that, the message rather, because her speech wasn't amazing out of the park, but I think it was important that she decided to hold back. But at this point, she's completely lost her career as politics. Again, that was something that she bought her seat technically from Brian Kemp. She heavily donated to the Republican Party, and she got that seat. As for David Perdue, I mean, it was just an unfortunate loss for him. He just ran with the wrong people, so that is essentially what we have. And Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, they ran an exceptional campaign. And I would say Stacey Abrams has a very big role coming up. She's probably going to be a big part of organizing for the Democratic Party down in the South. That's something that we're going to have to look forward to because this worked in Georgia. In the matter of 4 years, they were able to flip in the White House. They were able to flip both Senate races. They were able to flip a couple of House seats. I think Stacey Abrams is the architect of all this. And if she can continue to help out the Democrats, who knows, maybe soon Alabama would be in reach. Maybe soon states like South Carolina will be in reach. Maybe soon states like Mississippi will be in reach. And it really comes down to the Democrats appealing to suburban voters. And I will tell you again, with the course of events of yesterday, it's going to be very easy for the Democrats to win over some of those suburban voters and more moderate independents if the Trump faction of the party continue in power in the Republican Party. So, guys, this is what we have for the Georgia Senate elections. The black community really came out and really gave these men the victory in the Senate. For the Republicans, they were with the wrong people. Donald Trump just ended up hurting them more than he did help them. And at the end of the day, yesterday was such a chaotic day in politics. We had so many major announcements. We had this race called. We had the whole Capitol mess, the objections, and everyone going crazy. And truly, America is in a very unstable point right now politically. And we have a lot to look forward in the next week and see if anything really ends up occurring, because I'm not gonna talk about it more in this video, but just go on Twitter and you'll see what I'm talking about. And America, there is a new chapter of American politics coming up in just 2 weeks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a huge thumbs up, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications to be up to date with our latest content. So thank you for watching and goodbye.